Hello and welcome. Today I'm going to be talking about self-hypnosis. In this detailed presentation, I'm going to be talking about the benefits of hypnosis, how to hypnotize yourself, how to be a conscious creator so that you can manifest your goals and be successful, whatever definition of success you use, and a lot more besides. There's a lot of content in this presentation alone, so let's buckle up and get started. Now, I'd like to tell you a little bit more about myself. So, my name is Elisa Di Napoli. I am a holistic clinical hypnotherapist, NLP practitioner, personal development coach, and author of the book Dare to be Seen: From Stage Fright to Stage Presence. I'm also a pioneer of the discipline of hypnotic coaching. I am a singer-songwriter, a drummer, an improviser. I've written a lot of music in my life, around 11 albums. And also I'm based in Edinburgh and in Wellington. Edinburgh, Scotland, Wellington, New Zealand. Before we start, just make sure that you are comfortable and refreshed. Switch off any distractions, put your phone on silent, and make sure you ask questions. At the end of this presentation, you will be given an opportunity to do so. Below this video, there will be instructions to claim your complimentary hypnosis recording as well, so that you get to experience firsthand what it's like to be hypnotized. Now, relaxation is actually important for any learning activity. We need to be relaxed enough to be able to focus on what we are doing and not just be distracted by externals or distracted by internal anxiety, because when we are distracted in such a way, we cannot concentrate on the matter at hand and we can't actually learn very much. So self-hypnosis is a stage of inward concentration and hopefully relaxation, although we don't have to be absolutely and completely relaxed in order to be self-hypnotized, otherwise we would be asleep. Having said that, self-hypnosis is the secret tool used by successful people. Now, a lot of the time this is presented as meditation or guided visualization, and I'm going to be explaining the difference between the two in a moment. But before I do, let's look at how successful people have been using these techniques to succeed in their life. A hedge fund billionaire, for example, Ray Dalio, you may or may not know him, is only one of the many that claims that meditation is the single most important reason for his success. And we also know of Arnold Schwarzenegger, who learned the powerful meditation techniques in the 1980s that forever transformed his ability to deal with stress. Steve Jobs, everybody knows about, the founder of Apple, which is the most valuable company in the world even as we speak today. And he stated that his meditation learned and developed intuition is how he was able to guide multiple companies, including Pixar, to the stratosphere of the business world. Now, these are just 3 examples, but of course there's many, many more. What's really important here is that you can do the same. You can use self-hypnosis to achieve success, whatever that may mean for you. Self-hypnosis can be used for all sorts of goals. It could be that for you, the most important goal is to sleep a wonderful sleep at night. It could be that your goal is losing some extra pounds. It could be that your goal is to feel more confident during meetings. It could be all kinds of things. That's the beauty of it. You can tailor your self-hypnosis to your goals. Now, you may be asking yourself, is meditation and self-hypnosis the same thing? No, they're not. Now, hypnosis is not clearing your mind of thoughts, and hypnosis is not mindfully watching your thoughts, sensations, and emotions. Mindfulness meditation is all about being able to detach yourself from your thoughts, sensations, and emotions and let them flow like a river and observe them change. Eventually, with some types of meditation, you can experience absence of thoughts for some limited periods of time. But this is not what we're trying to do with hypnosis. Now, meditation and hypnosis are similar in the sense that the state that they utilize is very, very similar. But not only these states are induced differently with different methods, but most importantly, they are used to attain different kind of goals. Hypnosis is goal-oriented. Meditation is not. Hypnosis takes things one step further and develops your mind because it is about concentrating on one single idea and allowing that idea to become a suggestion that will condition you to behave in different ways. So, let's get started into your first hypnosis experience. Now, the most important thing here is to get into the right state. And in order for us to do that, we need to follow some rules. The first one is to make sure, of course, that you're in a comfortable environment. And an environment where you not be disturbed by phone calls, children, and other distractions. So make sure you've got your phone switched off, your web notifications on silent, and you are not going to be disturbed for at least 15 minutes. Now, when you're ready, sit in a comfortable chair that supports your head. This is because when you're relaxed, your head tends to lean forward. We wouldn't want to do that. You'll get a sore neck. Now, some people like to lie on the floor, but that's okay if you're one of those people that finds it very, very hard to relax. Otherwise, sit with your back straight, either on a chair or on a meditation cushion if you prefer. Make sure that the room is at a comfortable temperature because your body temperature actually tends to fall when hypnotized, so you may end up being cold. So make sure that perhaps the room is slightly warmer than you normally have it. And set a fixed time that you're going to practice for. You could use an alarm if you like, so that you don't go on and on and on and miss your appointments. So the self-hypnosis process has a few stages. First of all, we want to induce hypnosis. There's many ways of doing this. I will give you a couple of examples today. But by all means, I would suggest you try different techniques because different techniques work for different people. After you have induced hypnosis, which can vary from 5 minutes to half an hour, depending how easily you relax, then we want to use suggestions. And suggestions as well can be used in written form, so you can write your own autosuggestion, or you can use internal dialogue to repeat key phrases, or you can use symbols, and I go into great detail about this in my course, my self-hypnosis course. And of course, visualization is a big part of this process. Again, I'll talk a little bit more about what that actually means. And then after that, you want to stay in this state for as long as it takes to condition yourself to actually make sure that your suggestions are effective. You want to imagine them as being already real, already manifest, and connect to the emotion of how you'll feel when that is the truth. And then you want to go into the awakening. It is also important to repeat this process every day, or at least until you feel these suggestions have worked. Now, there are many different ways of inducing hypnosis. The most common ones are eye fixation and progressive relaxation. And today I will show you eye fixation. So in order to induce hypnosis in this way, you need to sit in a comfortable chair and look upwards, finding a spot or a mark in the ceiling. Stare at that spot with a soft focus for a few minutes while you take 6 or more deep 7-11 breaths. What do I mean with 7-11 breaths? What I mean is that you take a breath and you count in your mind up to 7, such as 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Hold your breath for a couple of seconds, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 9, 10, 11 or more. That is, of course, the time to breathe out using your nose and with your mouth shut. Make sure that these breaths are coming from your belly. So imagine that you are inflating a balloon when you inhale, and you are deflating that balloon as you exhale. Then, once you have taken these 6 or more deep 7-11 breaths, roll your eyeballs up until you are aware of a slight discomfort from that steady upward staring. And on the next out breath, close your eyelids down while keeping your eyeballs up, and you will notice fluttering sensations in your eyes. That's a good sign. When that happens, you can relax those eyeballs and just drop your chin a fraction so that you can experience what it would be like to look down a flight of stairs or down a balcony. And as your eyes are nice and relaxed at that point, just imagine you are going down a flight of stairs while counting down slowly from 10 down to 1. You need to do this very slowly. Don't rush. Talk to yourself in a very calming voice, as you would be talking to a 5-year-old, trying to make them fall asleep. And tell yourself, using positive language, that with each and every number you count, with each and every step you take, your body is becoming more and more relaxed and at ease. This is the induction process. And after this induction process, when you are relaxed and calm, that's when you'd use your suggestions. Now we're going to talk about your suggestions in a moment. Before you give yourself suggestions though, remember to adopt the hypnotic mindset, which is really a skill. You want to expect hypnosis to happen. You want to see suggestions as an opportunity, not a threat. You want to remember that you're in control the entire time and to just commit to wait for your body to respond. Don't rush it. Become the observer and just simply be aware of your experience. Now, in order to craft effective suggestions, we need to understand the language of the mind. We need to understand how the mind truly works, what the mind truly responds to. So in order to do that, let me go through the 6 fundamental mind hacks for communicating successfully with your mind. First of all, your mind does what it thinks you want it to. The moment you come into this world, your subconscious has one job, and that is to keep you alive for as long as possible. And it does that by taking you away from pain and moving you towards pleasure. Now, in order for your mind to know what is pleasurable and painful psychologically, well, it listens to your internal dialogue. So, for example, if you say to yourself that snakes are fun, well, you'll become excited by the prospect of handling pythons. But if, on the other hand, you tell yourself that talking to a stranger is hell, well, your mind will most probably make sure you avoid all social situations so that you're not in danger of suffering. Now, the second mind hack is that your mind responds to only 2 things: the words you say to yourself in your own head and out loud, and the pictures you create in your mind. Now, these words that you say to yourself automatically produce pictures in your head. But since your mind doesn't distinguish between what you imagine and what you experience, it responds to the pictures you imagine as if they were real. Now, if I say to you, don't think of an ambulance on top of a hill with a building on fire, what have you just visualized? You've seen that ambulance, the hill, and the fire. So the mind does not differentiate between me saying, do imagine that, and do not imagine that, because whereas the ambulance, the hill, the fire are actual things, don't is just a negative of something else. So it's not correlated to any noun, to any object in the real world. So your mind can't really imagine don't. So it imagines everything else. So if you imagine what you don't want, you will get exactly that. This is something that makes me laugh when I see images such as don't drink and drive, because that simply suggests the very thing you don't want. Now, the third mind hack is that emotion always wins over logic. So if you say to yourself, well, I shouldn't have that cake, but I really want it. Well, that desire is going to always win the shouldn't. So you need to use positive emotions, positive memories that will elicit those emotions to create resourceful states that are going to actually make it easy for you to not eat that cake, because you want to be slim more than you want to eat the cake. So when you find a really positive, motivating emotion that connects you to your goal, use that in your self-hypnosis. The next fundamental mind hack is that you need to repeat. Repetition is the key to changing your beliefs. And expect to succeed, because what you expect tends to be realized. So don't expect the worst, expect the best, accept the rest. The best is the ideal outcome of your goal becoming a reality. And finally, because your mind loves what is familiar and rejects what is unfamiliar, and most often we are familiar with negative states, we need to make the familiar unfamiliar by making the unfamiliar familiar. So for example, making a unfamiliar habit of self-praise, noticing what we do well, a normal habit, a familiar habit. And we can do that by repeating it again and again and again. So in order to create effective autosuggestions, we have to apply these mind hacks to the actual suggestions. And there are very specific rules that I describe in great detail in my self-hypnosis course that will allow you to actually craft effective autosuggestions that will make it possible for you to reach your goals. Because sometimes when people don't know these rules, they may end up creating the very result they don't want. Now, there's not enough time to get into this today, but I reassure you that if you come to my self-hypnosis course, not only you will get a chance to actually apply these rules, but then I will personally check just to make sure that you're on the right track. But just to give you the most important one is that you need to imagine what you want, not what you don't. Now, when I say imagine, that's exactly what I mean. Sometimes people hear that they need to be able to visualize and they panic. They think, oh my God, I can't visualize. But can you remember where you parked your car today? Or your bicycle? If you can, well, then you can visualize, because that's what visualization actually is. Some people think it's having hallucinations with eyes open or closed, like a dream. But really, that's not what it is at all. Some people may indeed go in a state of hypnosis and be able to see things in that way, but most of us don't. It's enough to be able to just imagine the very results and outcomes that we want to manifest. Also, when you are using visualization, it's important to imagine results and outcomes as if they were already realized. Because what you are focusing on is the future goal, and you want to get excited about it because your mind responds to emotion, your subconscious responds to emotion much more than it responds to rational thinking. So you want to connect to the feeling you get when your goal has become a reality and get excited about it. That is going to be the fuel, your motivation for taking action. And most importantly, when you use visualization, don't test, trust. Suspend your belief. Act as if this result was already a reality. Imagine you're like a kid playing, pretending, make believe. That's what we're going for. Next, we want to make sure that our suggestions are goal oriented. So we've got one goal at a time. We don't want to cram 1,000 goals in one suggestion. And in this goal, the first thing is that we need to know where we are going, first of all, and then we need to plan how to get there. Now, we don't need to know all the details of how we're going to get there. We just need to know the destination and then trust that we will figure out how to get there one step at a time. You may have heard of SMART goals. I'm going to be talking about what SMART goals are in my self-hypnosis course, so we don't really have time to go into that now, but just so that you have an idea, they are goals that are specific, measurable, attainable, relevant, and timely. Just not any old goal will do. You need to make sure that your goal has these characteristics. So, now that you know all this, you need to just put it all together. The first thing is to figure out what your goal is, what your outcome is. If you have a negative goal in mind, just ask yourself, what would I rather have? Once you have your outcome, your goal in mind, make sure you harness your motivation. You ask yourself, why do I want this goal? Make sure this goal is SMART. The most important thing is to practice, because of course, the more you practice, the better you're going to be at achieving the results you want. Self-hypnosis is a skill. Effectively, when you choose to learn self-hypnosis, you choose to become a conscious creator. You realize that only you can save yourself. You take responsibility for change, and you are convinced that you really have a choice. Then you surrender to the process. You expect to be successful. You get excited about it. And you keep on reminding yourself about the benefits that will follow when you reach your goal. That's going to give you motivation. Be willing to look within and engage with this fascinating process of self-discovery. And of course, plan your sessions, engage in your sessions, commit to your sessions, be honest about your progress, hold yourself accountable, and you will succeed. Always remember to celebrate that success. If you want to learn more about hypnosis, you want to know the rules to how to create effective autosuggestions, you want individualized feedback on your suggestions, you want to know what different ways there are to use autosuggestions, and even develop hypnotic phenomena such as the ones that you may have seen in stage hypnotic shows to actually train your hypnotic skills. You want to learn how to adapt scripts to suit your issues, your goals. You want to learn about symbols, pendulums. You want to figure out what hypnosis methods are going to work for you so that you can really empower yourself to make your goals a reality. Then my in-depth self-hypnosis course is for you. During my course, I will go into 10 hours of content with practical exercises and individualized feedback. You get to actually write your auto-suggestion. You get to hypnotize yourself and actually start on your fascinating process of self-discovery so that you're no longer just drifting in your life, but you are actually taking charge and becoming the master of the ship, if you like, the captain of the ship. So the details of the next self-hypnosis course are just on my website. Just click on that link and you will get all the information you want. Thank you very much for listening. I hope you enjoyed this presentation. And please, if you have any questions, feel free to leave some feedback or contact me directly. I'll be happy to answer any questions you may have. And see you at the next self-hypnosis course.